Coach, whenever you're ready, we'll start the statement, then open for questions.
Yeah, I mean, first, it's good to think about how many fans we had today, given our students aren't on campus, and they're the ones that really bring Carmichael to life for us. So a shout out to our crowd for really showing up. We played a great college basketball game today, a great team that we played against, and they had to play great to beat us, and that's our goal, right, is to make sure that, if the other team has to shoot 62%, 13 made threes to beat us, then we look forward to the next time, right? A lot of good things, a lot of inconsistencies that were hard to manage, but our guys played through that really well. And obviously that second quarter, wasn't our best. We didn't stay connected in certain areas, particularly on the offensive end. But overall, it's a benchmark, right? Like we're better than we were against UConn, and we'll be better the next time we have an opportunity like this, as long as we just keep committing to the process. So next up, Thursday, a good Duke team, and that's how it is in this league.
You guys forced 21 turnovers. I think that's the second most Notre Dame's coughed it up this year. What was kind of the key defensively for that?
We have really good defensive players, a really good defensive package. Our posts are incredibly mobile and they're smart, right? And so when you come off all those screens, we need help and not too much help, not too little help. These two did a great job on that end, and it's a hard team to guard, right? And so, I think if you had shown me that they were going to have to hit 13 threes out of 21 attempts to beat you, I would have thought they would have hammered us, right? And so, it's a good defensive team playing a good offensive team, and they got this one today.
On the three-pointers, Olivia Miles, before her injury, was not a great three-point shooter. This season, she has been. Is that something that came up in the scouting, kind of prepared for, hey, she's a little bit of a different player now because she's confident in the three? Oh,
gosh, their team's way better than last year. You also add Leah King, who was one of the best players in the league last year. She's just their fourth option. She was the first option elsewhere. And then, Carlin had a great 2-year career so far at Marquette, so they're much better. But Olivia, when you're out injured, you have a lot of chance to work on stationary things, and shooting for her was what she had time and her body allowed her to do. So it's added a great dimension to her game. It'll help her move up the draft board for sure.
Coach, I know you're focused on now, but the future, Toomey and Grant, can you speak about them tonight?
You hope that they continue to progress the way that they have so far. Sierra missed a lot off injury and is starting to kind of find her groove, and Lainey's just totally locked in. I mean, she's here all the time. She's really committed to the scout. She was on an IV this morning. These are kids that just are game time, they show up. But we don't really talk too far in advance because this is the year, and Maria and Alyssa need everybody to be good now. And so they gave us some good things today, and they gave us some things that we have to continue to improve.
Maria, can you talk about how they defended you? Coach Ivy said they wanted to be really physical on you, and it was hard to get you the ball. You were effective when you got it, but hard to get it.
Yeah, very physical when down low. They were fouling, I think, a little bit, but the refs kind of missed those calls. But definitely when I got deep catches, I was able to finish, knowing that I'm a pretty efficient player. So just going straight up and knowing that they were going to double me as well, going in. So being patient with the ball, knowing that the double's coming in, knowing where to pass the ball when I get it.
She's a problem.
Maria, are you getting the Florida game and this game, I got the chance to be on the court and take some photos so I can kind of see how you are getting pushed around. Like, it seems like it's a lot more recently. Are you getting used to that physicality and just like, this is something I'm going to deal with? Sometimes they'll call it, sometimes they won't.
I've definitely gotten used to it, just being in this league for 4 years. It's always been physical, always been. So moving up from like going to BC to coming here, it's always been the same thing. Teams like scout me by being physical, making sure she doesn't get the ball down low. So I'm used to it at this point.
Coach, between the fourth quarter of the UConn game and then the second half of this game, how close are you guys from kind of breaking into that mold of being a perennial power like UConn and South Carolina? And I asked Coach Ivy the same question. She kind of said that it feels like Carolina's already there. How far do you think that you need to get over that hump? And is it one win or is it something else?
Every team's different. What I really appreciate about this team is they're incredibly driven to make the necessary improvements. So against UConn, we came out really flat defensively and just got punched in the face, right? And then we gathered ourselves and we were fine, right? That didn't happen in this game. So we started with sort of two themes. One theme after the game is disappointment, right? It's a great opportunity that we thought we were prepared for, and we thought we would be able to be on the winning end of that one. And then the second emotion, that are two separate emotions, but that's the way life is in this league, right? Is that we are better than we were better than we were last time, right? When you play these elite top teams. UConn, it was I think got up as high as 16. This never felt out of reach. It just was like, God, we got to make one more shot, right? Or we got to get one more stop, or we need to have one more kind of 50-50 ball or call go in the right direction, right? We've beaten top 3 teams before. I'm not great at stats or records. I don't really know when or how or who, but this particular team has continued to get better, and that's what I care about. Is this version of this particular team is better than it was a month ago, and I have full faith they'll be better a month from now.
Well, can you talk about how the team played coming out of halftime? You pulled within 5. What was going on right then when you had that little surge?
Yeah, I felt like we could get on a little bit of a run when we would get, like Maria or myself would get the rebound and just push it up the floor. So our guards were able to leak out a little bit so we could put a little more pressure on their defense, and we kind of forced them to scramble. So that led to some wide open shots. And, when you have a night where you're not shooting great from the 3-point line, we want to make those shots as open and in the flow of the offense as possible. So that gave us a lot of really great looks, and we had a lot of girls that came up and knocked them down, which is really helpful, obviously. And then in turn on the defensive end, we were getting stops, and that's also something that's really huge in order to get out in transition.
Maria, with the crowd, energy, and everything in between, it kind of felt like it was March almost. And how does a game like this prepare you for later on down the road when you're playing in a tournament game and do or die situation?
Yeah, part of the reason I came here was to play against really good teams in the non-conference and also in conference, competing with them. So I just love the energy that the fans bring. It helps us stay fueled on the court. It keeps us going when we go on runs, especially when we came out after halftime and we went on our run. That helped us, gain some momentum.
Courtney, the rebounding,
Yeah.
you flanked on either side by 20 rebounds out of your 28. What do you think went wrong maybe on the boards versus, what you could have done better?
Yeah, I mean, they had 16 second chance points in the first half after shooting what they were shooting. And then they only end up with 20, but that's 20 points on top of the way they were shooting. That's not good enough, right? Defense. Then you look at their guards and their defensive rebounds, right? And you could say that Maria and Alyssa are stealing the rebounds, or you could say that they're having to do all of it, right? And there's 2 ways to look at it. And so we need our perimeter players to be better rebounders. We need them to pursue better. We need them to prioritize it. I promise you we work on it. And so, yeah, that shift has to happen. For them to take, as was asked behind you, for us to take another step forward. Rebounding is one of those statistics that matters. It really is. And so it's something we just have to keep working on it. We've sort of recruited to it. We're bigger coming in, but we're not giant. But when you're looking across the way at Hidalgo, she's not giant either. They allow her to play with so much physicality because of her size. It's really jarring to get used to.
For coach, and then also just want a player's perspective with Alyssa, but with Hidalgo or Olivia, I mean, both of them hitting 5 threes. Obviously Notre Dame coming in best 3-point shooting team in the country, but what was kind of the scout on that? And then for Alyssa, if you could just describe how hard was it to just guard both of them?
Mm-hmm. Well, they get their threes. They're not just dribbling it down and shooting it. They get their threes out of because of how you have to handle the ball screen. And if you don't handle the ball screen, you're going to give up layups. And any shooter wants to see the ball go in the basket. And so you really want to take away layups and force them to. I think 2 years ago when they came here, they shot it opposite. I don't know how many, but they were below 30 from 3, probably even below 20. I mean, they really didn't shoot it well. So our game plan was to. They're a top 10 offense and we're a top 10 defense, and it's go time, right? Again, if it's going to be really hard at any level to win when the other team shoots 13 for 21 from 3. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I would say just to add on to that, I think when you play a team that's really well balanced in their scoring front and just a lot of people can make an impact, that's where it's hard to keep track of 2 players and make sure that they're not going to hurt us from 3, because you have so many other responsibilities in the team aspect in terms of everybody rotate box outs, and if they get an O board, then we're in a scramble and it's a kick out 3 to one of those girls, and you can't predetermine that that's going to happen, so you have to do the first steps right. So that means getting that defensive rebound so they don't even have that opportunity. So there's some nuances there that we can definitely sharpen up, and we'll be better moving forward.
I think it was Carlin's second 3 on the year. Yeah, that's that kind of day.
The Courtney, the other team that scored 70 on you, Georgia Tech, you said that you didn't think there was a lot of defensive lapses. It was just that a good team playing well. Is that your assessment for today, or is it
Yeah, I
different?
think there were 6 based on out of bounds that I can count to right now that we didn't do a good job. I thought we gave up a lot at the line, and we gave up 13 at the line because we didn't step in and take a charge. But again, I think when you're to keep a team to 76 points that made 13 threes, it's just, guys, we can write all we want about our defense. Our defense is pretty darn good, right? And you know, there's 2 sides of the ball, and we said that in our scout, and we knew that to beat good teams, great teams, you have to be great on both sides of the ball. And our offense came up a little bit short today. I don't think I'll hate a lot of the looks. We took more shots. Usually, if you take more shots, that's a good stat, right? And if you have fewer turnovers, those are good stats, right? So if you look at the stat sheet, a lot of stat nerds here, they're going to have some questions about this one, right? But then when you look at the 3-point shooting, you sort of say, oh, that makes sense now.
I'm not going to get you in trouble.
Oh, thanks.
But I do want to ask about the refereeing. It was
Yeah.
a little challenging. So what do you say to your team?
I told them they played through inconsistency in a way that, I'm sorry, they had to. Exactly what I said. But we will address it up the chain as we need to.
Any other questions?
Alyssa, you played in your fair share of marquee games like this. What's something you always look forward to, and what's something that you take away from a game as big as this one?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we can take away from this game is that we can compete with the best teams in the country. And so, obviously being this close, it really sucks because we know that if we, like, this is the time where all of us girls are like, oh, what if we, like, just had one more box out? What if we did this one more thing? But we just had to take a step back and realize that we did play a solid game. Obviously, it wasn't enough to win, but we know that any team that's coming in here or places that we go next, like, we can compete with anybody, we can beat anybody.
Thanks to these 2. Jeez, guys, are they fun to watch or what? Lord.
Great.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You got it.